Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most overpowered Swashbuckler Rogue multi-class build in Baldur's Gate 3. The Swashbuckler Rogue adds in the dirty tricks, which I'll be breaking down in this video, and the best utilization when multi-classing this, because there's some pretty powerful subclasses that we can add into this to make it even stronger. So we'll start off with the Rogue, because it gives you some extra skill proficiencies. However, I will mention that it might be better to start as a hexblade warlock if you want to be stronger. And with this, you can get the bonuses to stealth or sleight of hand. If you have someone else that's going to be doing that, you can put these points into persuasion. Let's say if you're the face of the party, that'd be the ideal way to go about doing this. So stealth and persuasion here. And for the ability scores, we're going to be dexterity and charisma based because the dirty tricks actually use our charisma stats. So we will take a stat spread of 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 10 intelligence and wisdom, and 16 charisma. And yeah, the rogue gets us a sneak attack there. Background, Dark Urge, the haunted one for those asking. At level 2, we get our bonus action, dash, disengage, and hide there, which are nice to have. And then into level 3, we get to take our subclass here, with the Swashbuckler giving us the opportunity attacks no longer hit us after making an attack on a target, so we can attack someone and run away scot-free. Then we also get a +2 to our initiative rolls, and this will increase our rogue level. And we don't need advantage to get a sneak attack as long as we don't have disadvantage. This is actually really good. It makes it a great multi-class. But it's the big one here at level 4, which gives us a feat, which is really nice. The dirty trick, flick of the wrist. This allows us to flick our weapon at a target and possibly disarm them. We also got the dirty trick, vicious mockery, which uses our this, and the dirty trick, flick of the wrist, use charisma, and the sand toss uses our dexterity. So with this one, it's the vicious mockery cantrip. It has an amazing voice line there, depending on your character. Even the origins all have great unique dialogue, giving disadvantage on the target's next attack roll. And this is also nice, the dirty trick blind, which blinds a target for 2 turns, can be extremely effective. These are all bonus actions, which this multi-class that we'll be preparing doesn't really have much of a bonus action use, which makes this perfect to combine it with. We also get our feat here, and I would actually recommend taking up our charisma, especially for the face of the party, but we're going to be adding in a multi-class here at the next level. The uncanny dodge is nice, taking half physical damage, but what's better than taking less damage is actually dishing out a lot more damage so that you don't take damage, and that's why we're going to add in the hexblade warlock. There's also something else we'll be adding in here. I've experimented a lot with the Swashbuckler, and I found this one to be extremely useful and fun. So, with the Warlock, we get the best cantrips in the game with Eldritch Blast for range, and Booming Blade, extremely effective. And for our subclass, we're going to be taking the Hexblade. This gives us a shield spell, and we can also add in a class that's going to have level 1 spell slots that aren't the Warlock ones, so we don't burn through our spell slots unnecessarily. Shield is extremely useful for giving us a +5 to armor class, turning misses or hits into misses. And then we also get the ability to use charisma for our weapon attack rolls, which we got the charisma stat at a +4. We also get the Hexblade's Curse, which adds bonus equal to our proficiency bonus. And then we get medium armor proficiency, shields, and martial weapons. So you can use medium armor if you prefer. And I would actually recommend taking either the Hex, Hellish Rebuke, or Armor of Agathis. I personally like to take the Hellish Rebuke just for an extra damage option, but Hex is also a really good choice if you want to build around that and use that. Into level 2, this is when we get to take our Eldritch Invocations. Devil's Sight is by far the best. Being able to see a magical darkness is extremely effective. I'm playing as a drow here, so you get the darkness there, which is very useful to have. Otherwise, Agonizing Blast and Repelling Blast are great. The pushback on Eldritch Blast is good, so I'd recommend if you're going to grab Devil's Sight to take Repelling Blast. If you don't like magical darkness, I'm not forcing anybody to use it. It's a rogue. They benefit from hiding out in darkness, though. It just makes sense, so you can add in Agonizing Blast instead. For the spell, either Hex, Armor of Agathis. Arms of Vidar doesn't really work well because we don't get hit with opportunity attacks, so the reactions doesn't bother us. And Wrathful Smite's not really that great because it eats up our bonus action. So, yeah, Hex is another bonus action ability. I guess Armor of Agathis is probably the absolute best there. I just like Hex with the Eldritch Blast sometimes. Into level 3, we get to take our Pact Boon. This is why we're going to be going with this. We're going to take Pact of the Blade. This will give us the extra attack at level 5. And it actually fuses both the Pact of the Blade and the Hex weapon together, so they're the same skill. We also get access to some of the best spells in the game here. The Warlock actually has a really good spell list. Now, Hold Person is an extremely effective spell. Shadow Blade is good. Darkness, as I mentioned, is also good if you don't have a way of getting it. Although you can use an Arrow of Darkness off someone to be able to set up darkness. And Misty Step, never a bad idea to have that. As well, Mirror Image to increase armor class by 9. That's a good one too. I'm going to take off one of these spells, Armor of Agathis here, and then we're going to replace that with Shadow Blade. You don't have to use Shadow Blade, but if we want to maximize our damage, it's just the way to do it. So, again, you don't have to swap out the spell here. You can keep Armor of Agathis. It's just going to be a lot stronger if you do. Adding a 3d8 weapon, that's the strongest damage type in the game. because it can be doubled, so that 3d8 becomes additionally a 6d8. It's insane. Next level, we get another cantrip. I like to take Mage Hand because this can throw healing potions at you. If you have a Storm Sorcerer that wants to do lightning or cold damage, this can also throw water bottles to set up wet, which will double the damage. Minor Illusion makes a lot of sense too if you don't like the Mage Hand, because this can, for a rogue, Minor Illusion to pull enemies away so you can steal is really useful. And Bone Chill to stop targets from receiving healing is also great too. At this next level, Misty Step or Darkness, your choice here. Either of these is going to be a good choice for spell slot. I like Misty Step for the extra survivability, although Darkness is really good too if you don't want to use your concentration on anything else. Darkness is a pretty solid concentration to have because you can hide out in it, and it actually, if you have Shadow Blade, you'll get advantage on all your attack rolls. It's impossible to have anything better than that, really. It's the most effective. You don't have to take it though, you can take Misty Step if you prefer. For our feat here, I just think it's best to increase Charisma to 20. Alert for the +5 initiative is also pretty great, but Charisma, because it's going to be spellcasting and melee attacking and face skills as well. Level 5, this is when we get our extra attack with our packed weapon. Huge. We also get to take Hunger of Hadar. However, this spell kind of falls off a little bit later on in the game. It's not going to be as effective as some of the other options. My personal preference, if you love Hunger of Hadar, take it. I personally think Counterspell is a better choice. We only have 2 spell slots per short rest, but Counterspell, you're better to have it than not have it. If you have a wizard or a sorcerer that's already casting Counterspell, you don't have to take it here. Go with Hunger of Hadar. It's really up to you. You don't get to use Hunger of Hadar and hide in it yourself, but Hunger of Hadar is kind of nice. It makes difficult terrain, blinds enemies, and they take damage at the start and end of their turn. I just think Counterspell brings a lot more utility here and makes our rogue a lot stronger. So yeah, I think that's my personal preference there, because Darkness we can use to ourselves to power up our weapon attacks with Shadow Blade. Now, Armor of Shadows is not a bad option. Agonizing Blast again too. You can even go with slow with a Warlock spell slot if you wanted to, but I think Agonizing Blast, just to add our Charisma modifier to our Eldritch Blast, is pretty good. If you're the face of the party, Beguiling Influence, Proficiency in Deception and Persuasion is also really good too, so you could potentially go with that instead. Now, the Accursed Spectre is still kind of bugged out. I wouldn't recommend taking 6 levels into the Warlock for that reason, because this will keep our spell slots the same. All we get for this extra level is the Accursed Spectre, which doesn't always work. I think that the best choice is actually to add in the Bard, and here's why. So you get cantrips here. Vicious Mockery we already have, so we'll take our Minor Illusion, which is nice to have. Light can be useful. Friends, if you're the face of the party, is also great. Never take True Strike. We also get to take some spells that are nice, like Thunder Wave, Healing Word. These will all use our Charisma, Long Strider, and Dissonant Whispers. Ban the Mystic Scoundrel. You can use this as bonus action, but we have our better bonus action abilities that don't use spell slots, so I wouldn't fully recommend using that. Speak of Animals can be good if you don't want to use the potions. And what we're going to be taking this for is you actually get a really good ability here. So we get our extra short rest, which is great because this allows us to recover Warlock spell slots quicker. Jack of all trades, half proficiency bonus to ability checks. That's all fine and dandy. Disguise Self can be nice too if you want to take some gear that's going to give different benefits to like get the Yankee and stuff like that. But it's a level 3 ability here. I really like to take the College of Swords, and here's why. We get our slashing flourishes, which we can attack 2 targets at once. So our Shadow Blade, 2 people, boom, boom. Actually pretty good damage. You could alternatively go with the College of Lore to get the Cutting Words, 1d6 ability to an ability check. But this uses up a reaction when we have Counterspell, a much superior reaction that we don't want to burn through. This is good because this gives us a fighting style as well. We're going to use a shield, as it's going to give us a better armor class. But if you want to use 2 weapon fighting and add our ability modifier to the offhand weapon, this works weird because it's going to be our dexterity for offhand attacks. Dueling just works better because we're charisma based. We also get access to a level 2 spell here, and silence can be nice if you're going against a lot of casters. I also really love the knock spell. Shatter's an okay one. We already have hold person here, so you could take that off of the Warlock and take it from the Bard here. It doesn't really make a huge difference. For this, even enhanced ability is not bad. Cloud of Daggers, not a bad spell because it guarantees damage. It does require concentration. So the reason we're taking this again, Slashing Flourish, Defensive Flourish, increase armor class by 4, and then Shield. With Shield, we can increase our armor class by 9, and then on top of that, if we have Mirror Image, that's 18 extra armor class. It's crazy. We can actually become a defensive beast with this combination. So yeah, this combination, I've tried it out. It actually works really well. We only have 3 slashing flourishes per long rest, though. That's the only really big downside. But there is an item that allows us to get more. So this is the Gunslinger outfit mod, if you're wondering, by Skirby. Just want to point that out first. All right, so for gear, I love the birthright hat for the +2 to charisma. This will take it up to 22, which gives us a +6 to our weapon attack rolls, and it also gives us a +6 to our spell casting and face stats. This is an Act 3 item though, so early game, haste helmet, never a bad choice. Helm of Baldur will take our armor class up to 27, and we can get it to 28 with boots. And then again, 28 plus the 18, we can increase our armor class with different spells. We are unhittable at that point. And then I guess a +20 if you add in haste. It's nuts. We can actually get a crazy armor class. Mask of Soul Perception is nice as well too, but I think that the Birthright Hatch is the best in slot because we're so charisma dependent. Cloak of Protection if you're the Dark Urge, Deathstalker Mantle. Armor of Agility. Now, this is an interesting choice because we have medium armor proficiency, and this is a stealth one. Doesn't give disadvantage to stealth checks, +2 to saving throws. The ballast armor if you want to use a piercing damage weapon like the Stillmaker here. But since we're going to have the Resonant Stone and Shadowblade, yeah, it's your choice there. Even the Unwanted Masterwork Scale Mail can be nice. Vest of Soul Rejuvenation if you want to use mage armor. I think there's some really good choices here if you want to take medium armor. The Yanti if you're in Act 2. But the Armor of Agility is just going to be the best in slot here. Also, the Wondrous Gloves, +1 to armor class, +1 to Bardic Inspiration. So that gives us 4 now slashing flourishes. There's also some other choices that we can go with here. Since Shadowblade counts as a spell attack, you can use the Gloves of the Battle Mage's Power to get a +10 to our Arcane Acuity really quickly. And Booming Blade also counts as an option for this. So yeah, there's a few ways to get Arcane Acuity. You can use the Helmet of Arcane Acuity as well if you wanted to. This just makes sure that our spells will land. So if you didn't want to go with that, I guess the Helmet of Arcane Acuity is another good choice if we want to keep our Bardic Inspiration, or use the Gloves of the Battle Mage's Power. The Boots of Stormy Clamor, 2 turns of Reverberation. You can also go with the Evasive Shoes to increase your armor class. Disintegrating Nightwalkers for the free teleport. There's a lot of good fun options here. Now, I also have the Ring of Elemental Infusion. Only use this if you're outside honor mode, because when you do Booming Blade, it adds a 1d4 to your next weapon attack, which is great. Band of the Mystic Scoundrel, we already got that covered with our Swashbuckler abilities. So Killer Sweetheart for the free crit can be nice. Ring of Free Action, not to get slowed down. I also like this one, Ring of Arcane Synergy, because this will add... Arcane Synergy adds our Charisma modifier to our damage, so we can add a +5 or +6 to our weapon attacks just by doing Booming Blade. It's a no-brainer there. And then the Ring of Protection, again, there's a lot of fun options here. You can even go with the Shadow Cloaked Ring. The reason that I'd take this is it adds a 1d4 whenever you're lightly obscured, which you're going to be if you have Darkness and Shadowblade, so very effective. Hellrider Longbow for the +3 to our initiative. I have the Viconia's Walking Fortress to increase our armor class. And we're going to do a little switcheroo. Take a staff with a free cast like Marka Heshker or the Staff of Spell Power. And then boom, we got ourselves. And make sure you do upcast it to level 3. And it gives us that free cast. That didn't cost us nothing. And it replaces our weapon. We now have the Shadowblade, which does 3d8 +8 psychic damage, +2 psychic damage, +1d4 psychic damage from the Shadow Cloaked Ring. And then it'll add another +5 to the damage. So we're looking at 33 damage per attack. That's doubled, so 33 to 66 damage per attack. That's why I said this is the most OP, overpowered Swashbuckler, because, yeah, we get a literal Blade of Shadows, which rogues make sense to use. We're not going to miss our attacks, and then we have all these fun Flick of the Wrist and abilities here, which you can see there, our Flick of the Wrist now does a 3d8 +10 psychic damage. That's nuts. Don't forget to bind your Hex weapon here so that you get your Charisma scaling on your weapon there, but yeah, it's absolutely nuts what we can do for damage. I would recommend always trying to Flick of the Wrist because that's a bonus action attack that does massive amounts of damage, and the Shadow Cloak Ring stacks up on top of it. And then we also have our sneak attacks here, which do a lot of damage, an extra 2d6 on that, and we don't need the advantage to get that to trigger. So yeah, we got a lot of fun abilities here. It's a great multi-class, so I'll show this in combat here. And don't forget to apply Long Strider for free before you enter combat. And we already got ourselves into a fight here now. Anytime that you can prepare one of these old switcheroos, we want to do it. So we got our Slashing Flourish here, which again is going to do that upwards of 41 damage, which just becomes 82 damage on 2 targets. So if you can ever line this up where you're going to hit 2 targets, this is literally right on the edge, not able to hit 2 targets. Unfortunate. We're going to use Booming Blade, which has advantage because we're in a little shadow. That's the beautiful thing about Shadowblade is you can get advantage so easily. 82, yeah, that was a big hit. Then we also get our sneak attack too, so we can use a sneak attack when we had advantage. Boom. Yeah, 78 damage. See ya later. That was pretty strong. Then our darkness will again power up our Shadowblade. We also got the I have the mod counting kills. It's kind of funny. Arcane Synergy, adding our spellcasting ability modifier to our weapon attacks, and then also 6 stacks of Arcane Acuity. So we're already getting our spell save DC up to 23 there. Pretty nice. And then we're an assassin, we're a rogue. We want to go around attacking targets from shadows. You can use Booming Blade for attacks. If I have haste on my character here just to illustrate this build further. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Unfortunately, we only get one sneak attack per turn, but that's oftentimes all you need. And if you really want to further enhance things, you use the defensive flourish to increase your armor class by 4. We have 27 right now, so that would take us up to 31. That's pretty nuts. But we also just need to do a regular weapon attack to take out most targets. And we get this cool blue Shadow Blade, by the way, if you're using the Arcane Synergy. It makes Shadow Blade become blue, which is really cool. Going into the shadows, we're safe. But we also have a really fun ability to, for a bonus action with the Dirty Trick Flick of the Wrist, which 99% advantage, boom. It took the target out, and it dropped their weapon. Booyah. They also just hit a silly little dab there. And back for another one. Again, we want to pop out Mage Hand too, if at all possible, before you get into combat. It's always a good skill to have up, because Mage Hands are super useful, as they can, again, throw healing potions, stuff like that. Unfortunately, we may have, yeah, we're not able to hit both the targets here. Sometimes slashing, oh, we actually can. Perfect. Slashing flourish on 2 targets. Boom. Yeah, that took out both in one hit. As I mentioned, Shadow Blade is pretty overpowered. This combination, pretty strong. We have a bunch of targets over here that are coming at us, and we want to make sure we use our Booming Blade before, because we can get a Booming Blade per action. So that's 1 Booming Blade, and you get a Booming Blade, and you get a Booming Blade per action again. So that's why we got it there. We also got a random heal off that target. And then we also have the Slashing Flourish. This is why this is crazy. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 targets taken out so far. And we still got our bonus action too. This build is absolutely nutty. Yeah, we do have kind of a restriction because we can't actually chase down targets forever, but we also have this here, which is psychic damage, 3d4. If you're close to the target, that's an action that's going to double that damage, but it gives a disadvantage on an attack roll. Dirty advantage. Yeah, this is pretty strong. We've taken out 11 targets so far in 2 turns. We now have our spell save at 26 or 27. It depreciates 1 per turn, but every time we do a weapon attack, it boosts itself back up. Break your sneak attack to take out this target. Boom, 70 damage. It's pretty nuts. The other nice thing is we're actually decent with a bow too, so I can't move there, I also get mind broken. So we can actually use the Slashing Flourish here, which is pretty strong, because we can hit 2 targets. You can also target the same target twice. We applied reverberation and knocked them prone. And yeah, that's not a bad way to go about it. We also have our Eldritch Blast here, so these are good if we can actually hit a target. Boom. That was a nice bit of damage. Actually took out one of them there. And then for our, I guess, final action, we'll go with a Vicious Mockery, or we could use, I guess, the Flick of the Wrist there. It might mind break me, but it's the final target. Ooh. And I did an opportunity attack and did 56 damage. Yeah, that was a good way to end it off. This is the most overpowered Swashbuckler Rogue multi-class in Baldur's Gate 3. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The Warlock and the Bard actually add a lot of utility to this. I think it's extremely powerful. Let me know your thoughts. Getting a Shadow Blade with Slashing Flourish is nuts. Being able to bonus action attack, I love this build. It's extremely powerful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.